Alright, what is up guys? We're back on another build breakdown video, and today I got my good friend.
Restart it?
What?
I wasn't looking at the camera when you start. I was just like this.
You're just admiring your own car.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm here with my good friend Greg and his amazing NSX. Greg, tell us what you do and a little bit about yourself.
What's going on, guys? Happy to be on the channel. My name is Greg from Buyer Bill. It's automotive parts performance company. This is my personal 91 Acura NSX, which I've owned for about a year and a half now. So it's basically all original stock body, but underneath it is completely different. The car's got 90,000 original miles. It's a 5-speed manual transmission. It is the first year that they came out, so there's no power steering from factory, which is a good and bad thing. Getting around the parking lot, not a lot of fun, but the road feel on the back roads is absolutely incredible with the manual steering. But to get further into the car, I got this from Bring a Trailer about July of last year. I bought it from a pretty famous person on YouTube, Houston Crosta. He owns Royalty Exotic Cars in Las Vegas. So to buy this from a car who's owned like Bugattis, Paganis, Koenigsegg's on top of all these other cars, and then has this, and to be able to buy it from him is pretty cool. But unfortunately, I got the short end of the stick on this purchase because when I got the car, it was running terribly. There was a lot of issues with it that were not advertised in the listing, such as the parking brake doesn't work, and as long as I try to fix it, it still doesn't work. So that's unfortunate. And the car was not idling properly. It was on like a 25-year-old Motec ECU. So I spent the first 3 months owning this car just trying to fix everything that was wrong with it. And there's not a lot of tuners out there that can really tune a 25-year-old Motec. So even after I got the car tuned, it still ran pretty poorly. It was running super rich and it just sucked driving it. So the car spent the last year and 3 weeks actually at another shop to get a full build done on this car. But I can go ahead and pop the engine bay to show you some more.
Hell yeah. I know everyone's dying to see this engine build. And also, as far as I know, it's turbo, right?
Yes, it is a single 58mm Garrett turbo that is bottom mounted. Ooh. And you can see it here underneath the right tailpipe.
Let's see.
So there's a nice turbo there that goes into a big teal wastegate, goes into a muffler with a dual outlet, and it's a pretty clean setup. And this whole build was actually done around 2005. So wow. We had to really freshen up a lot of the things. And that's why the car has been gone for so long, is because we really needed to get this thing up to date. All the hoses needed to be replaced, a lot of maintenance items. And we also found a lot of issues with the car that needed to be changed out during this process. So it's good that we really tore apart pretty much everything and put it back together with all new stuff.
Hell yeah, that's sick. So what do you got done exactly here in the engine bay? I see, what's that, for the turbo?
Yes, so from the electronic side, it's running a Haltech 2500 Elite ECU right now. It's a standalone ECU. We have an AEM digital dash that shows all our gauges all in one center, because I really like that idea of having all my gauges just in one screen instead of having like 15 different gauges all over the place, because it looks a lot cleaner and it's just so much better, not as many wires going around the car. But the turbo goes from the back, it goes up through the piping and to our water to air intercooler right here. This is a treadstone core with custom fabricated end tanks on each side. The charge pipe that goes to the throttle body was also fabricated, and we have a nice little teal MVR blow-off valve, or 50 millimeter blow-off valve. And the wastegate is a teal 44 millimeter wastegate that goes straight out the exhaust pipe. But inside is a fully built long block, so it has rods, it does have pistons for lower compression boost. It's got Audi R8 ignition coil packs on all 6 cylinders. We have Bosch 2200cc fuel injectors, and what else we got? Flex fuel sensor, air motive fuel pressure regulator. On the transmission side, it's got the JDM 5-speed short gear ratio set. So we tore apart the transmission, got rid of the super long gears that come on the US models, and we put in the short gear set. So with the boost, with the short gear set, this car is going to be an absolute blast to drive on the back roads and on the track. And we have a twin disc ATS carbon clutch that we just put in as well, because the original clutch in here was having issues. The car was not going into gear really easily, and it was grabbing really low at the bottom of the pedal, and it just made the driving experience terrible, on top of the Motec running like crap. So for the whole time that I've owned this car has never ran properly, which is unfortunate. But we're bringing it to the tuner, Derek Robinson, on Monday to get a full dyno tune and to have everything basically working to my liking, because he is super well known to do great drivability tunes, and he doesn't focus on like big horsepower builds. He can, but he'll make it run great all the time.
Hell yeah, that's sick. Dude, I just love how clean the whole body is, to be honest. Like, especially with the BBS LMs, right?
Yeah, so these are 18-inch in the front and 19-inch in the rears. They're 10-inch width in the rears. It took a lot of research to get this exact fitment that I wanted. I think down the line I want to do a front wide body and possibly a rear wide body. So there's this company called Pride Carbon, and they make 20 millimeter replacement fenders, because the good thing about this car is that all the fenders are bolted on, so you can take them off, put new ones on. There's no cutting, there's no welding. It's a really great fitment, and it looks insane, because you can now replace the 8-inch wide wheels with like a 9.5-inch wide wheel and put like a 10.5 in the back and like a really meaty tire. So I think that's the goal for next year.
Oh yeah, and if you ever want to, you could just revert it back to stock, because everything is bolt on.
Exactly. And then right now the body's all stock. The only upgrade I have, it's not really an upgrade, it's a 2002 NSX rear valence. So this whole lower half right here is off a 2002 NSX. The ones prior to that are a lot uglier. Gotcha.
Damn, I wouldn't have known, honestly, if you didn't say that.
Yeah, it's really clean. It's a factory look. This is the valence that I wanted on my last NSX. And we're going to do probably wings west, side skirts, and a 02 NSX front bumper, and maybe even a vented hood on top of the wide body. And that will give this car a whole brand new look. And then we got to do a spoiler at the end.
Oh yeah, that's sick. So how long have you had the car? You said it was out of shop for a year.
Yeah, so I bought the car July of 2023. I drove it for about 2 months, brought it to the shop the day before Thanksgiving, and then I just got this car back like a week and a half ago.
Oh wow.
So a little over a year that the car has been gone, and throughout that time it's just me been putting money into it and not enjoying any of it, and not even seeing it, and just following up with the shop over and over again, because originally the deadline was supposed to be April, and here we are.
Damn.
November. Like, sorry, I bought the car in July of 2022.
There it is.
So now I got it back in 2023.
God damn.
So it's been so long, like many times I'm just like, I have this car, but I feel like I don't even own it anymore, because I just don't see it or drive it. But now that it's back, it's great.
I remember seeing the NSX as like your profile picture on Instagram, but I just didn't remember you having one.
Yeah.
I thought you sold it, if anything.
Yeah, I get that a lot because ever since I got my Type R, the current 2023, I bought that after I got this car. They even dropped this off. So I met a lot of new people during the time that I had the Type R, like this whole summer, and everyone's like, you have an NSX in your profile, but I never see you driving it. I'm like, well, it's because it's in a shop. I keep busting their balls about it, and they don't hurry up, and the car just keeps, oh, it should be done next week, should be done next week. Say that for 6 more months, should be done next week. So finally, I brought my trailer. I came to the shop on a Friday at 5 p.m., and I said, I'm not leaving until the car is done, and I'm taking it home. And then I took it home, the car still had issues, so we came up the next week and fixed more of the issues.
Gotcha. Did you ever find out what the issue was? I remember last time we talked, you were telling me about it.
There's a few issues when I got the car back. The fuel wiring, the fuel pump wiring is somewhere in this corner right here. That wire was not done correctly, so it was overheating, and I can see smoke coming out of the fuel pump wiring. That's not good. You don't want to have fires with anything related to fuel. That's a
especially when it's like right behind your driver's seat.
So that was the first thing we noticed. The cold start was having issues, so he plugged into the Haltech and we updated some of the fuel settings, and we got the car to basically fire up on the first try now. And the other issue was the ignition switch behind the key. That was loose, and basically when you turn the ignition to on, it would go back to accessory and it would shut the engine off over and over again. And the car was even shutting off me while driving on the highway, and that was really bad because the car came down to like 20 miles an hour, and I was trying to like get the ignition to get back on. Luckily, there's not a lot of cars behind me.
God damn, that was after a year of waiting just to get it back like that.
Yeah, that's crazy to get a car that doesn't even cold start after a year. But we did a road tune when I went to go pick up the car for about 45 minutes to get like drivability pretty good. And I gotta say, even on this base map, the car drives better than it ever did, even after it was dyno tuned on the last Motec. Fuel pressure regulator we changed out. That was an old one. The diaphragm for the vacuum source was not correct, so we just put a brand new one in there, and it's been working great ever since. But last issue that there was, the alternator was draining the battery when the car was off, so he had to rewire some ignition source to another source, and now the alternator doesn't drain the battery, so that's good.
Hell yeah, that's sick. How much have you been driving it ever since?
Not too much, because it's not fully tuned yet, so I don't really want to like get on it and God forbid like I blow it up because it's on the base map. But it drives pretty good. I have all my gauges set up properly, and the cold start's been good. And I just want to drive it so that if there's any other new issues that pop up, I can fix those before I bring it to the tuner, because if you bring a broken car to a tuner, they're going to hate you and they're going to charge you a lot to fix everything, because then you're just wasting their time at that point.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I probably put on about 300 miles since I got the car back. I did get the whole car paint corrected by Ludensol over in Yorktown, and he did a phenomenal job. He did a full top to bottom, inside and out detail, paint correction, interior detail. Like if you go inside and take a look, besides the mats being a little dirty, like this thing is super clean. Before there was like oil stains on the floor, there was dust everywhere, the windows were covered in crap, and we did an XPEL ceramic coating on it as well. So the car's looking the best it's ever had since I got it.
I just love how clean it is, and it like the paint is fixed so well that it looks like glass.
Yep,
like that's my favorite part. It just looks amazing.
So it's just a really great looking car, and I think the NSX, out of all like the other JDM Legends, are pretty uncommon, I should say, because I've owned the Supras, the GTRs, the NSX, and recently the RX-7. I gotta say the GTRs are definitely like, and the Supras are on the top of the list as far as like fanboys go. When it comes to the RX-7, same thing, but I think the Supra and the GTRs are like one step above the RX-7, especially in like pricing, because the more expensive it is, the more people drool over it for some reason. The NSX,
I've noticed that lately.
Yeah,
like
the GTRs are
100K now.
R34, you're like 100K plus. The really clean ones, like the Z-Tune full like Canes, those are easily worth like $250,000 or more. So But people fanboy over them. I had an R32 GTR. It was completely stock. I never had a modified one, but I'm sure they're really great cars. But I'm not a huge Skyline person, honestly. I did love my Supra. I had 2 of those. I had a 1,000 horsepower Supra. Poured my heart and soul and all my money into it, and that thing was a freaking animal. Favorite car for sure.
Hell yeah.
The NSX though, I think it's got to take the win for like overall look and driver's feel, because out of all those cars, only the NSX has a mid-engine in it.
That is true.
And this was like competing with a Ferrari. Even McLaren was getting ideas from the NSX. So it's just, this was like a supercar at the time. Right now, not really a supercar, but when you drive one, you feel the manual steering, you feel the VTEC and everything just all together. It's a very analog, driver's oriented car. And it's super well balanced. Even when they're NA, they're just really fun to rev out to, 8K on these. And they're quite a lot of fun. But I guess people don't really build these because parts are expensive. They're naturally aspirated, unlike the other 3. And I guess less bang for the buck, I should say.
Makes sense. Damn. I just can't get over it. Like, every time I see this, I'm just like speechless. Because like, seeing it at a car show is one thing, but seeing it out in the open, like in this whole area, is just blowing my mind. Love it. You mind if we go for a little drive?
Sure.
See how it's like?
Hopefully it starts up this time.
Let me get a shot of the exhaust when it starts up. That's the same as like my mom's car. Like her car.
My Evo too. It's like the AC only works when you have it on full blast.
Really?
It makes no sense. But at least it works, right?
Hell yeah.
So NSX off the bat, manual steering. So you gotta really have some good forearm strength, some good lats, some shoulders. But once you get rolling like 5-10 miles an hour, it's pretty good. But then when I go from this to like my Type R, the Type R steering feels so loose.
Really?
But like right now, like you can see it's got, it feels like a regular hydraulic steering or electric power steering car. I was actually thinking of doing a power steering conversion on this. And there's this company that makes the conversion from a Accord power steering rack or an S2000 power steering rack. And they cost anywhere between, I think, $2,500 and $3,000. But that includes like everything to make it fully plug and play, which might be nice.
That would be sick.
So I'm considering that in the future as well. But the way the engine sounds, I think, is what makes this car. It's a very unique like sound that you don't really expect out of a Japanese V6. Like when you think Japanese V6, you think of like the GTR. The new GTR is like a V6, so it's got like those Godzilla noises, but even inline sixes, like they don't sound anything like this.
No, that's true. Especially like having the engine behind you. This is the first time I'm in a mid-engine car, and it sounds and feels way different already.
Yeah, like all the noises from the back. The blow-up valve is super loud too. This window doesn't like to roll up, so I gotta like help it.
Oh, you gotta push it.
Typical, this is what you get when you're 30-something-year-old car, right?
Typical Japanese car.
The blow-up valve sounds so freaking sick, and the fact that it's right behind your head.
That's amazing.
Sometimes it shoots like some pretty big flames on D-cell. I think that's probably just a tuning issue.
Yeah, it could be just running like really rich.
Yeah, but look at all the gauges. Like, it's got everything right now: speed, gear position, oil, water temp, pressure, battery voltage. Like, it's freaking sick. I love this thing.
Yeah, that's actually like the perfect spot to have it too.
Yeah,
like right in the center.
Yeah, you would need 9 different gauges to show all of that. And where would I put any of that, you know?
Yeah.
But to get this gauge, the CD7 is about $1,000. But if you were to have all individual gauges, you would spend more than that anyway.
Yeah,
and that
because especially with wiring and all that.
Yes, exactly. This uses like 5 or 6 wires that goes straight to the ECU, and it shows everything. You can even data log on this. You can do lap times. It really can do everything. You can customize the screens. So if there's a button in here, if I hit it, it can change the look of the screen.
Oh wow!
So there's like that display. I can change it again. There's like this display, and then one more time. This is the last one. So there's a lot of like cool stuff. And this is more so for like if you were to replace your OEM cluster with just a complete digital dash. That's like kind of the look that you would have there. But I didn't want to have a completely digital cluster. I like the OEM cluster.
Yeah.
And then use that as like a screen, kind of like the R34.
That's what I like about that too. It's like keeping the original cluster, but still having that to like see all the stuff you gotta see.
Exactly. And right now the speedo and the tack on the OEM cluster aren't working. And I think that's just a wiring issue on the ECU. So I'm gonna have the tuner look into that as well.
Yeah, I see that.
Once these 2 things are fixed, there's like nothing else on the car that I really have a gripe about other than the parking brake. I've been trying to adjust the parking brake and it's either always too tight or it's too loose. There's never a perfect medium on that.
Gotcha. Well, at least the good thing, whenever you're recording videos, the cops won't know what you're actually going.
Except for on there.
Yeah, I mean, we can blur that out.
So like this car is still on a base map, but I can take it to redline pretty safely. It's just not a lot of timing on the tune. Mm-hmm. But we did almost an hour of road tuning, and we did some pulls on the highway and local roads. But like this is where you feel the manual steering, like all the feedback goes right into your hands. And the OEM steering wheel is not the greatest. It's like super thin. It doesn't have adjustable tilt. So I'm eventually
it stays where it is.
Yeah, it only goes in and out.
Damn.
So I'm gonna put a Momo in here, and hopefully that helps with the driving feel. But you know, the OEM steering wheel, I hate it. It's
too big.
It's not right for this car.
I know that feeling. That's why I switched the steering wheel on my car, just so I can have like a better feel whenever I'm like making those turns and everything.
Exactly.
And it was like a world of a difference.
Yeah, the steering wheel makes a huge difference, especially when you add some nice bolstering to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But no, these are all nice back roads over here. It's usually the road that I do like my road test in case I install a new part or I fix something and I got to see if the issue is still present or if I notice any upgrade on the performance or whatnot.
Oh yeah. I feel like everyone needs like their own personal back road to like test their car stuff on.
And like there's a pretty safe road. Like there's never really any kids or like people walking their dogs on here. Every once in a while there are, but you just gotta be careful.
Yeah, you gotta be mindful of where you're driving.
Like don't do it on weekdays, things like that.
100%.
On a Sunday morning, you're probably fine. But once we get this thing tuned, we're gonna do a 93 tune and then a E85 tune. On 93, I would like to be in the 400s. On E85, 600s would be nice. Like if you hear the exhaust, it sounds very Italian.
It does. It almost sounds like a Ferrari V8 or a V6. And that's why like Honda and Acura built this thing to beat Ferrari like in their own game and make it more affordable too.
Exactly.
That's why like the NSX is like one of the cars I just love, especially because of the history.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they K-swap these. Yeah, I agree, if you want to make a lot of horsepower, put a sequential gearbox in it, 100% throw a K-series in it. But for me, I enjoy the original engine in here, the C30, because just the way that it sounds, it fits right into the engine bay. There's no modification, you know, that you got to do a whole engine swap to make power. This engine's already built, so there's no really reason for me to swap something else into it.
Yeah.
But if I was shooting for, you know, 800 horsepower and you're going to do a race car out of it, I'd probably throw a K-series in there. Why not?
That's crazy.
It'd be a lot cheaper.
I didn't even know that people like K-swap these things.
Yeah, I have a friend who owns a big turbo K-swapped NSX, and he's putting a sequential gearbox in it right now.
Damn, that's sick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm driving it. It's probably freaking insane. You'll make 600-800 horsepower a lot cheaper than you will on this engine.
Yeah.
Because this engine, like, no one really builds them anymore. They never really built them to begin with. Yeah, that thing's super slow right now.
I don't know what your definition of slow is, but
to me, that felt like it made 300 horsepower.
Oh my god.
At most.
Well, from coming from a guy who daily drives a 200 horsepower car, this is like everything I've wanted. Yeah. All the turbo noises, a good pep in the step, you know?
Yeah, the way it feels right now feels like it's a stock NSX without any of the turbo.
Oh my god.
But once we get this thing tuned, it's going to be a riot.
Oh, hell yeah. It's going to sound and feel so good. Yeah. It already feels really good from an outsider perspective, but I know from like someone who owns it, like you have a lot of things that you want to do to it.
Exactly. And the biggest upgrade, I got to say, is putting in the JDM gear set and the new clutch, because driving this before was terrible. I hated driving this. But now with the new clutch, like it goes into gear so much easier. The clutch is so much easier to modulate, and the shorter gears make the car feel quicker, and that way you're not like revving out to 8,000 for forever.
Yeah. So it's the JDM gears that you have in the transmission right now?
Correct. It's a shorter gear set than the US. So I forgot exactly what the gear ratio is, but I think the stock, like let's say you're going 65 miles an hour and you're at 3,000 RPM with the JDM gear set, I think you're closer to like 3,600 or 3,700, something like that.
Gotcha.
But I'm not shooting for like a grand touring car. I want a car that's super responsive and goes through the gears quickly.
Oh yeah. That's like the beauty of having these kinds of cars. I'd prefer to have something that's more oriented for the street and the mountain turns and everything, because when are you going to use the full 1,000 horsepower, you know? Unless you're at a track.
Exactly. And I mentioned the JDM gears, like it's great on a turbo car, but it's like 100% necessary if your car is still NA, because I don't know who designed the gearing on that car, but it made no sense to put long gears on a 270 horsepower NA car. But yeah, I love how this thing drives. It's actually really comfortable, these coilovers. I think they're like teen coilovers. Oh wow. And the suspension feels nicer than my Type R with the Swift Springs. It's not as harsh of a ride. And when I hit bumps in this car, like it's not that bad. Like it doesn't shake the whole car and feel like your suspension's about to fall off.
That's what I was about to say. Like it feels really comfortable, especially with like these seats as well.
Yeah.
Like it feels something that I can drive for like hours and not feel a lump in my back or anything, you know?
100%. And if it wasn't about to snow and get salt everywhere, I would totally daily drive this thing.
100%. This is only making me want to get a turbo even more.
The Turbo Honda.
Turbo Honda is the way.
I mean, there's guys making like 400 NA, but if I were to do NA on an NSX, ITBs.
Oh, 100%.
Individual throttle bodies.
1000%.
And a stroker kit. I've seen it done on YouTube, and they sound freaking insane. They make like 450 to 500 horsepower NA, and they're absolute track rats.
I believe it. It probably screams right behind you as well.
Yeah, but the only downside is the cost of ITBs. You can do forced induction. Like, this car is not cheap to boost.
I believe
supercharger kit right now averages about 10K.
Oh, wow.
And that doesn't even include, you know, install, ECU, tuning. That's just like the supercharger, all the pulleys, and maybe injectors. But that does not include engine management.
That's crazy. The fact that that supercharger costs more than my car is wild.
Yeah, and then I don't know how much this turbo kit costs to fabricate because it's been such an old build.
Oh, so it's still, like, the turbo kit came with the car when you bought it?
Yeah, the car was boosted when I bought it.
Oh, wow. I thought you boosted it yourself.
Nope.
Damn.
I would never do that. I couldn't afford it.
No, that's true.
But I get a lot of reactions on this car. Like, people look at it and they think it's like an Italian, like a Ferrari or something like that. And then the more they look at it, then they see like the Acura badge, and then they're like, oh, okay, it's just an Acura. And then they walk away.
Literally, yeah.
They're like, oh, I don't care, it's not a Ferrari.
Just because it says Acura or Honda, they discredit it. But like, if they didn't know, it's like, oh wow, what's this fancy supercar?
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's definitely pretty low key of a car.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone really knows what this is.
Yeah, especially like nowadays. That's what I love about it though. It's like, it's so sleek, you wouldn't expect it, you know?
Yup. And then when you look at this car from the side, it looks really long.
Yeah.
But then you look at it from like far away or from like a corner, that thing is tiny. Like, this car is smaller than like a regular 3 Series. It's pretty nuts. And I know the height, you know, the low height obviously gives it, you know, that appearance that it's a small car, but even like width-wise, it's a pretty narrow looking car. Yeah. And that's why I want to do the wide body, because then it just makes the car look insanely good.
I support that 100%.
Yeah, if you go home, you look up wide body NSX, and especially the Pride Carbon kit. Yeah. I think it's the best looking kit for, you know, the price. Because a lot of wide bodies on this car, like 10, 15K.
Yeah.
This wide body, I can get the hood, fenders, bumpers, side skirts, and front and rear quarters for probably like less than 5K.
Oh wow, that's actually a really good deal for a kit.
Yeah, and they're good quality parts too. Like, people who buy them don't really have any fitment issues whatsoever. I try to stay away from the Sabon stuff.
Yeah. Because
people are always having fitment issues on those.
Gotcha.
So no Sabon for this car. Maybe the spoiler. That's about it.
No, I'm gonna definitely check out the kit, and then I'll include it in the video so other people can also see what it looks like.
I did forget one thing. This car does have a big brake kit, front and rear.
Yeah, I noticed it.
It does play a factor in why the rear parking brake doesn't work.
Really?
So this uses a pretty like OG Willwood kit. Mm-hmm. So it's got 6 piston brakes in the front, 4 piston brakes in the back. But when you do that, you have to remove the OEM parking brake, and they make like adapter brackets. But I don't know who designed it. It's not that great of a design, and I don't think it even allows full pad to contact the rotor on the parking brake side.
Damn, so it's a whole thing to like try to fix that. Yeah,
I've been trying to fix it, but it's like very fine tuning adjustments, and I can never get it 100% right. Damn. But we are back.
Hell yeah. Not bad, you know, 17-minute cruise. Hell yeah, dude. Good. My God. That sounds so good. Perfect too.